Hey everybody, it's the Dude here to bring you another video. This week we are out in the world, away from the majority of our main characters, with Tara and Heath. This is episode 6. Now, last season, episode 6 was the Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha episode. You know, where one of our group gets separated from the other, gets injured, they get captured, briefly trusted, and freed before being double-crossed and escaping. These episodes introduce new groups of characters when we already thought that we had enough stories going on. And in the end, the audience is left with a lot more questions than answers, that are mainly just foreshadowing for things to come. If I had to make a wild guess, I would say that this new group of people will show up near the end of this season. Let's say episode 14. But instead of being the setup to something really bad, I think it'll be the setup to something good. So that's it, right? That's all for me. Like and subscribe, watch it again? No, there's more. Alright, let's dive in. Here is my review and analysis of Season 7, Episode 6 of The Walking Dead. Swear. The title Swear is in reference to the promise Tara makes near the end of this episode. This is the single most important development made that is really going to affect the entire plot. In the long run, will Tara keep her promise? I'm getting ahead of myself. We open on the beach. Now, right off the bat, the fact that we are by the ocean, in addition to Tara's new opening credit image being that of a wrecked boat, well, the big nerd in me knew from the beginning that we were about to see Oceanside. Now, in the comics, we never really see where the Oceanside people live. We actually don't know very much about them, the primary source of information being a character named Sadiq. There's also another Oceanside member named Pete who works on a fishing boat. These guys are both super cool, and I can't wait to see him in the show. We hear the sound of two girls talking about a soaking wet teddy bear they just found, before the younger of the two spots a walker and stabs it in the head with her spear. She stands up proud before spotting another one further down on the shore. She runs over to it, and just as she's about to kill it, the older one stops her because they're alive. "It's Tara!" She says, "That's not a bobber." Bobber. You can add that to the very long list of different names that each community calls zombies. The younger one, whose name is Rachel, says that she still wants to kill her. The older one, Sydney, protests, and Rachel says that they're supposed to. And Sydney's like, "Not if people don't find out." Rachel says fine, but she's not going to get any help from her, and she walks off, throwing the soaked teddy bear back into the ocean. Rachel reminds me a little bit of Carl. She's honestly more at where Carl should be age-wise. She's all about the rules of her people, and she's grown up in this world, so she's fine with killing. Sydney drags Tara off, and we flash back to Heath and Tara, sitting in their RV. Heath is listing their meager findings and seems defeated. Rule number 1 of scavenging: there's nothing left in this world that isn't hidden. This is something Tara learns from Glenn when they're looking for supplies in the Washington Crew bus episode. And she says this thinking of him with a big smile on her face. This really sets us up for how tragic it is at the end of the episode when she finally finds out what happened to Glenn. Okay, we said we would be gone for 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. As long as Hilltop keeps their side of the bargain, we have food at home. We need ammo. We need medicine. Man, Tara couldn't be more right. It's funny, when these two left Alexandria, they had just gotten in a bunch of meds from Denise's trip to the apothecary, and then a bunch of guns and ammunition from the Savior's outpost. She has no idea that that stuff is all gone now. We have people counting on us. I'm not sure that means much to me anymore. What we did at the satellite station? For some milk and some corn. That wasn't the only reason. This is a really interesting scene to me. They were both there, they both killed the Saviors. I mean, hey, Tara is carrying one of the Savior's guns right now, but they're both taking it very differently. Tara has something to fight for. Jesus says that to her in the van during that episode, when she's talking about Denise. She has someone back home that she cares about. Heath doesn't have anybody. It's interesting, in the comics, Heath is with Denise. And if that had been the story in this case, I would assume that their roles would be switched. I get it now. If it's you or someone else, you choose you. You take what you can, you take out who you have to, and you get to keep going. Nobody's in this together. This really seems to affect Tara. It only hurts because you know that everything you just said was total bullshit. That's not you, Heath. Tara, that's me. I really like the contrast between these two characters, but I think a lot of this dialogue is all to really make us think that Heath later in this episode will abandon Tara. Alright, back to the future. Sydney is in her room at Oceanside, looking at a map, tracing her finger along a river. This is classic I want to leave this place and never come back exposition. That tells me a lot about where her character is going. She is the sympathetic one to Tara who wants to see more of the world. Back at the beach, Sydney is bringing Tara some provisions. We get a quick look at a rather strange tattoo on Tara's arm. There are at least 5 Roman numerals listing the numbers 26, 13, 22, and 9. The 5th one isn't really visible, but there is another one for sure. So what do these numbers mean? It looks like these tattoos are self-administered, but in all of our time with Tara, we've never seen her do anything like this. It's possible that these were done before we met her. She was studying to become a cop. They could be badge numbers or something to do with people she knew before the apocalypse. It could be a list of people she's killed, just like Carol's list last season, but I'm not sure Tara has even killed 9 people, let alone 26. If you start from 9 going up, it could be the size of each group she's been in. Possibly before she met the governor, she was with a little bit larger group, maybe a group of 9. Then, when she joined the governor and they joined Martinez's crew, she very well could have been in a group of 22. Then after that, when she joined Rick's group at Terminus, she was in a group of 13. And then when she went to Alexandria, that number became 26. Now, that's just a theory, and I'm not sure if those numbers are exact to the number of people in each group, but it's a thought. I'm sure this is one of the many things that this episode is set up to reveal later. Sydney brings her some water and fish, and when she leaves to go back to her community, Tara, who was pretending to be asleep, follows her. Sydney leads her under what looks like a hidden entrance. She eventually gets to a small fishing community. As we get a closer look at the village, it seems that there are only women. Except there are a few children, one of which I believe is a boy. Where's Pete and Sadiq, I wonder? Probably out hunting. Suddenly, a quiet series of clicks rings out amongst the people. Half the women scatter into the huts, while the other half arm themselves from what looks like a pretty stocked armory. Just then, a bullet flies by Tara's face. She must have been spotted, and the click system was used to alert all the women. A short-haired woman with a shotgun starts chasing her. Tara turns a corner, and it racks the woman across the face, grabs her shotgun, and aims it at her head. She says, "Go ahead." But Tara doesn't. She hits her in the head with the butt of her shotgun. She keeps running until she runs into Rachel, holding a gun to her. This is such a Carl thing to do, I just can't get over it. Am I the only one who felt that? And just as you think she might shoot her, Sydney shows up, along with the rest of the gang. An older woman shows up. She seems to be somewhat of a leader to these people. She's unarmed and she calls out to Sydney. "Get away from her! She hasn't done anything wrong. That has nothing to do with it. Get away!" Oh, that was a double line. You know, when a character says a line once and then says it again with different inflection for more emphasis. It happens all the time in the show. So that's 1 point for "get away from her." Back from commercial break, we are in a flashback. Heath and Tara have just pulled up to a bridge where it seems like someone had been blocking off each sides of the bridge, setting up camp on the bridge itself. They search through the camp but find nothing. On the other side, they see a giant sand pile. It looks like whoever was staying here was trying to build some kind of defensive wall. Tara finds a bag sticking out of the sand and begins to pull. Just then, Heath spots a huge pile of empty shell casings, telling him that there was a massive gunfight. And if there's no bodies around, there's only one place they could be. Just then, zombies start coming out of the sand. Heath gets cornered to one side while Tara gets pushed to the edge of the bridge. She shouts for him, "Heath! Heath!" And just when Tara is in the most need, Heath appears to abandon her. Back to the future at the Oceanside community, Tara is sitting inside, chained to a radiator. The older woman and 2 of her cronies show up, one of which is the shotgun woman from before. The older woman says, "I'm Netanya, this is Kathy and Beatrice." Tara asks, "Am I the only one hearing bells?" Netanya explains to her how their bell system works. They use bells in different places of the forest to draw surrounding walkers away from the community. It's always really interesting to find out how each community deals with these problems, and this here is one of the coolest solutions I've seen so far. She asks Tara where she's from, and Tara lies and says she's been alone with her friend for years. She gets caught in a lie about working on a fishing boat. The conversation doesn't really get anywhere, and they break for a brainstorming session. Later that night, Kathy takes Tara to go eat dinner with her, Netanya, Beatrice, and Sydney. When she first sees her, Tara says to Sydney, "Hey, thank you for the beach thing and everything out there. You saved my life. You did. I mean, I don't know if your grandma approves, but you did." "Hey, double line." My mom would have. Sydney touches the shell bracelet she has on her wrist, implying that it must have come from her mother. "She showed me the way." "Anyway, I was trying to show Rachel. She hasn't had to do it yet. Have you?" She says, "I'm a really good shot." Okay, so now we know that this group has been in a fight with other people before. And more than that, that Sydney, even though she is the leader's granddaughter, has fought in those battles, killing people. Tara eats her food eagerly. We have an endless supply of fish here. You think, Tara, that it's something you could get used to? I'm hoping to convince you to stay. It would be the perfect solution to our problem. We keep our village a secret, and you get to put down roots. You're a skilled fighter, Tara, and a good person. If you want, we could help you find your friend, and we will offer him a home too. He could stay here? I mean, I never thought I'd be asking this, but where are all the men? All the women look down. And Tara's like, all of them? We got into a skirmish with another group. None of them made it. And we lost others too. Sydney had an 11-year-old brother, my grandson, and their mother too, my daughter. After that, we decided to protect ourselves no matter what. Does this mean that Pete and Sadiq are dead? Fuck! I guess Sydney could be a replacement for Sadiq. Their names are similar enough. Unfortunately, her character name is spelled Cyndie. That's not a straight-up adaptation, so I guess they just wrote those guys out. No matter who we crossed, we would kill on sight. She looks at Sydney. We would stay hidden. It seems like Sydney does not want to hide. I'm sure when her little brother and mother were killed, she is one of the ones that wanted to fight. Similar to how Carl and Michonne feel with Rick. Now we're starting to understand why Rachel, the other girl, was so okay with killing Tara when she first met her. I had to be honest so you could understand why we do it. So maybe you could be honest to us about where you're from. You said you worked on a fishing boat, a larder. A larder is a room for storing meats. Yeah, I was lying. Tara tells her about Alexandria. She gives her the whole pitch and even mentions that she has her girlfriend Denise that she would very much like to get back to. She says that she can't be a part of their community, but that she would want their communities to join together. She opens up and she tells her about their attack on the Savior's compound, and just then Netanya and the women start to look at each other. They know about the Saviors. Okay. We will send a guide out with her that will help her find her friend and then continue on to her community. Now, the look Netanya gives Beatrice and Kathy is a clear, no, you gotta kill this bitch look. And that's tough. It's a really powerful moment. She lies to her granddaughter and says, if this works out, there'll be plenty of chances to go, but I don't want you there if it doesn't work out. Right then, she's killing Tara. Right before the commercial break starts, Tara makes kind of a joke. I think it's a little sloppy for every act break to be a tension-killing joke. You know, it's a Tara episode, but it's just not quite what I'm looking for. Tara heads out with Kathy and Beatrice. She fist bumps Netanya, flips off Rachel, and leaves. As the three are heading out of the village, we get a glimpse at the bell system that we heard about earlier. They spot a zombie and all hunker down. Behind Tara, Kathy pulls a knife, and instead of just killing Tara, she hesitates. It looks like she doesn't actually 100% want to do this. Tara can feel the tension and says, I'll do it, and heads for the zombie. When she gets far enough away, she takes that moment to make a break for it. Bea and Kathy start shooting at her. She falls and then hunkers down in a pile of leaves and waits for them to pass. She then tries to sneak up on Beatrice. They have a brief skirmish before Bea gets her gun back on Tara. Please, I could have killed you back in the village. Let me go. She says, you don't have anything left. That satellite post you took out. There are more saviors. If they know about your friends, it's already too late for them. They're the ones who killed all the men. Every man, every boy over 10. They lined him up and shot him in the head. You see, we tried to fight. They won. The saviors killed all of their men? That's fucking crazy. Whew. Sorry, that's just a little too much for me to handle. Rick's group of people killed an entire outpost of saviors. What would the Oceanside people have to have done to earn a mass execution of all of their men? I mean, honestly, I thought we were supposed to believe that Negan and his people were a little bit reasonable. Killing Glenn and Abraham is understandable to get the rest of the people in line. To kill all the men, Sadiq and Pete? And to kill children? Negan said that was okay. All of his men said that was okay. I think one of the great things about Negan is that even though he's introduced doing such a terrible thing to characters we really love, that we should be able to kind of see it from his point of view. But that's unredeemable. So in my opinion, that's just too much. But that's what happened in the show now. And that's awful. Poor Sadiq. I think this actress right here is the best new actress out of the bunch here. If we see anyone from Oceanside in the future, it'll probably be Sydney, but I would love to see more Beatrice. I think this speech right here is probably the most affecting moment in the episode for the audience, or at least in my opinion. I'm sorry. All of a sudden, Sydney shows up and Tara gets away. Soon after that, though, Sydney catches up to her and points a gun at her. You're not gonna shoot me. Because I saved you? 3 times now. You're not gonna shoot me. Whew, finally, another double line. You have to swear that you'll never come back. That you'll never tell anyone about us, not even your own people. Why would I tell anyone about this place? Maybe you can get something out of it, like fish, or all the guns. Why do we kill people who just stumble upon us? Why did you kill those people at the satellite station? Because you just did. Nobody's evil. They just decide to forget who they are. You have to swear. Whew, finally the double lines are picking up. Some people are evil, Sydney. I've seen it. That's why I have to get back now. And she turns away. Sydney says again, you have to swear. Is that a triple line or just a... yeah. She turns around. I swear. Sydney accepts that promise and wants to help Tara get back to the bridge, find Heath, and get home. Back at the bridge, Sydney is covering Tara as she tries to make her way across, when a bunch of zombies show up. Tara just manages to get through, being saved by Sydney multiple times. When Tara finally gets to the other side, we flash back to when Heath had abandoned her, when zombies were all around her and she was pushed up against the edge of the bridge. Just then we see Heath on top of a car. She says, Heath, I'm coming! And he says, no! Go! And she says, we're in this together! And he says, I know! Just then she falls over the bridge. At the beginning of the episode, Heath says that no one is in this together. But now we see that that's not who Heath really is. He wanted to save her. At that point in the episode, nothing had really changed for Heath. This is a flashback that happened pretty much right after his conversation with Tara in the RV. Sure, Tara was about to die, and he does care about her, but to have such a clear change happen to Heath seemed a little forced. Back to the future, Tara sees a zombie with dreadlocks, and the death music picks in. In my death predictions, I said that Heath was definitely gonna die because he's in the new 24 show, so when that music started to kick in, I was just like, oh shit, here we go. But it's not Heath. I'm glad they tricked us. Tara turns to see Kathy and Beatrice dragging Sydney back to the community. Tara finds Heath's broken glasses. She sees his tire tracks. Then she sees something that says PPP on it. She says, maybe that was you. I hope that was you. Okay, so a couple things here. Maybe that was you. Is she talking about the Heath in the RV, the one who didn't have something to fight for, who thought everyone was on their own, or the Heath that tried to save her? The second line being, I hope that was you, makes more sense if she was talking about the Heath that tried to save her. Either way, Heath left, but it seems like he must have left her a note in case she did happen to survive. What does PPP mean? Well, I don't know, but it seems to give Tara hope. It seems to mean something. I really couldn't guess what this means. I think it's something that's specifically vague and out of nowhere that is just going to come up later. It's probably a lot like JSS, just survive somehow, but I hope it's not that lame. Tara starts her long trek back to Alexandria. She holds up in a sunglasses store. She finds a little Dr. bobblehead for Denise. Out of her bag, she tries the fish that Sydney gave her, and then she looks at the little shell bracelet she got from Sydney. I don't remember her actually receiving this from Sydney, but it was Sydney's mom's, and now Tara has it to remember them by. And then, finally, she gets back. On watch, the first one to spot her is Eugene. And then we get an amazing shot. The gate opens, and Tara is so happy to see Eugene until she sees his face. This is a moment that I've been waiting for a really long time. Ever since Tara left after they attacked the compound, I was wondering, okay, eventually she has to hear about whoever Negan's gonna kill. And on top of that, Denise died. Denise was one of the first people to make her feel truly accepted. Glenn was her best friend. Abraham was also one of the first people she met, and now they're all gone. Quick thing, they don't make it clear whether Heath got back or not. Obviously, if he was heading back to Alexandria with that truck, he would have gotten there before she did. But I'm gonna bet that he didn't. I'm glad that they didn't kill him this episode, but I think this is their way of writing him out while he's in the new 24 show. We see Tara in the infirmary. Rosita is behind her. I'm sure she cried, but they didn't show us that. That's really what I thought we were going to get, that raw emotion of finding out that at least two, sorry Abraham, but that two people that she cares about the most are dead. And I think her initial reaction here is very important as to how this episode ends. Rosita says, sorry Tara, I'm sorry too. We don't have to just sit here. Guns, ammunition, you don't have any leads? Anything, anywhere, I don't care how dangerous it looks. Tell me a place, I'll go. We can square this. Tara looks down at the bobblehead, but more at the bracelet that she got from Sydney. It really represents the struggle that the Oceanside people just went through. Rosita's asking her if she knows where guns are, and she does. But she's also asking her to fight. And if there's one thing she learned from the Oceanside people, that fighting only results in more death. She just lost Denise and Glenn. She doesn't want to lose anyone else. We can't. I didn't see anything like that out there. And that's a wrap. Okay, so Tara lies. She keeps the promise she made to Sydney. Before this episode, I had really wondered what Tara's reaction to this all would be. I kind of assumed that she would be getting such a shock at hearing who died that she would overreact. She would tell them about the weapons and cause a major conflict. But that doesn't seem to be Tara. And I like that. There's a storyline from the comics that I thought Tara could fill. This one that involved a character named Holly, who got ridden out of the show. In her anger in an attempt to avenge Abraham's death, she basically sacrifices herself to weaken the Saviors. For a while I thought that because Denise died the way Abraham died, that Tara would get that role, trying to avenge Denise's death. But now that they've shown that she is calm about this issue, and that Rosita is the desperate one, I think that story will go to Rosita. Okay, well, some could argue that this episode was a little bit slow. It's the 5th episode in a row that we've been with a new community, but it all just sets us up for the final 2 episodes that I'm sure will be jam-packed with every one of our characters. Next episode, we're going to have some Carl and Jesus stuff, most likely ending with somebody getting their face burned with Negan's iron. Now, who will that be? This is something they've been building for a while. Is Daryl going to get his face burned? Well, no, I don't think so. It could be Jesus. Probably not. He's probably going to burn someone else's. From the Comic-Con trailer, there is still a car chase we haven't seen this half season. Possibly another one of the Saviors tries to escape and then gets punished. Though I would be less interested in seeing that because that sounds a little too similar to the story of Dwight going after Gordon in episode 3. But we'll see. When I first saw the end of last episode with Carl and Jesus, I got really excited that their stories would be put together, but the more I think about it, I think that they're going to get separated pretty quickly. Possibly there will be a moment where they're almost at the sanctuary and Jesus is like, alright Carl, we're going to jump out in 3, 2, Jesus jumps out and Carl doesn't. He stays in the van and goes into the sanctuary. Oh fuck, what's going to happen? I think at some point in the episode, Negan is going to threaten Carl. And this will be the moment that Daryl flips sides. Daryl cares about Rick and Carl so much that I think saving Carl is going to be what makes Daryl finally say, I'm Negan. And that for the rest of the season, he'll be playing double agent. Not a ton happened in this episode, but we did get the introduction to the Oceanside people. Hope you enjoyed the video. That's all for me. Please remember to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and watch it again. This has been The Dude. See ya.